Page 6. Solving formulas. Solving formulas. There are 3 steps to solving a formula. This is isolating a variable. The first thing we do is locate or identify the variable you are solving for. Okay, you have to accept that your answer is not going to say x equals 5 tonight. You have to accept that your answer is going to be a math problem. Be okay with it, and as soon as you accept that, this is easy. Don't try so hard to make it look pretty. Step number 2 is to list the operations in order. And we're starting at the variable. And that's kind of confusing right now, and it'll make sense once I show you the problem. But step number 1 is to locate and identify the variable you are solving for. Step number 2 is to list operations in order, starting at the variable. And last but not least, step number 3 is to use inverse operations to isolate the variable. Use inverse operations to isolate the variable. And the best way to do this is we're going to do 3 practice problems and we're going to start your homework together. For example, D equals RT. This is the formula for distance. The distance you covered is found by multiplying the rate times the time. D equals RT. Distance equals rate times time. How fast you go times how long you go tells you the distance you went. And in this, we're going to solve for t. So what I like to do is I'm going to identify the variable. I'm solving for t. I circled it. If you want to highlight it, you can highlight it. Step number 1, locate and identify the variable you are solving for. Did it. Step number 2, list the operations in order, starting at the variable. So here's my variable. And if I want my t by itself, right, I have to get rid of everything else. So what's being done to that t? It's being multiplied by r. Anything else happening to the t? No. It's being equaled. We can't undo equaling. Step 3, inverse operations to isolate the variable. So instead of multiplying by r, what's the inverse? Divide by r. And here's the part where you have to be okay with it, accept it, and move on. Ladies and gentlemen, we don't know what d divided by r is. I have no idea. Those are variables. So I'm going to leave it. D divided by r equals. The r's cancel out because they're opposites, and I'm left with t. Some of you are going to say, excuse me, it should be T equals D divided by R. That's fine. That's it. Your answer is a math problem. So that's one step, right? Let's try 2. Three x plus y equals 10, and I want to solve for x. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to identify, here's my x. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm going to list the operations in order, starting at the variable. So here's my variable. What operation is happening? What's happening to the x? It's being multiplied by 3. What else is happening to the x? It's getting added to y. I did this first because we multiply first and then we add y. So multiply by 3, add y. I listed the operations in order. Second step, inverse operations to isolate the variable. So starting at the bottom, what's the opposite of plus y? Minus y. So I'm going to minus y. On the left side, I have 3x, and these disappear, equals, do you know what 10 minus y is? No, so write 10 minus y. I did that. Now I move up. What's the opposite of times 3? Dividing by 3. The 3's cancel out, so I have x equals, do you know what 10 minus y divided by 3 is? Nope. So my answer is 10 minus y divided by 3. Let's try one more. This one's the hardest of them all.
Like, are you being serious?
Yes. This formula this is the formula for Fahrenheit. Right? So if I was in Canada and they said it was 40 degrees Celsius, I could use this formula. I'd take 9/5 times 40 plus 32 and it would tell me what it really was. Because 40 degrees Celsius to me sounds cold. Because 40 degrees Fahrenheit is cold. But it's really not. Yeah. So we're going to solve for C. We're going to solve for Celsius. So I'm going to circle C. And let's make a list of what's happening. What is happening to the variable C? Multiplied. William, what's it multiplied by? 9/5. And then after you multiply by 9/5, then what do?
You add it plus 32.
Plus 32. All right, now we're going to use inverse operations to isolate that variable. The opposite of plus 32 is minus 32. I have no idea what f minus 32 is, so I just write f minus 32 equals 9/5 C, and my 32's canceled out. I did the opposite of plus 32, so now I have to do the opposite of times 9/5. You cannot divide by 9/5. What do you have to do? Multiply by 5/9. Multiply by 5/9. Ladies and gentlemen, my subtraction was here first, so how do I make sure I do the subtraction first always? What do I put it inside? Parentheses. All right, do you know what 5/9 times f minus 32 is? 5/9 times f minus 32 equals, those cancel out, and I'm left with c. If it drives you nuts, you can rewrite it. But ladies and gentlemen, the key to this is being okay with this being an answer. Yesterday we practiced and every answer had a number. Today your answer is a math problem.